Right. So 7.9%. So as you say, we haven't seen this kind of inflation, this official inflation number since 1983. In 1983, when the official inflation number was 7.9%, the interest rate by the Federal Reserve Bank was 13%. As they were trying to combat this runaway inflation, Paul Volcker, he had given over the chair to Alan Greenspan at that point, I believe. But nevertheless, he had gotten rates all the way up to 16 or 17%. But so it was around 13%. So that should give you an idea of how far behind the curve the central bank is, right? So the central bank should have been raising rates for the last 10 years, or as we've documented many times, the 2008 financial crisis was a good time to reorganize America's finances so that it wasn't going to repeat the same mistake again. Instead, they expanded the credit spigot to the same banks who created the problem to make 10, 20 times bigger. So here we are in 2022, and it's much worse. So can the Fed raise rates enough to stop the inflation at this point? And the answer is no. That train has left the station. So that remedy doesn't exist anymore for the central bank. So you have now what looks to be essentially a market collapse, a bond market collapse, and of course war. So war was predicted by us for years now, or Gerald Celente, for example, would say currency war leads to trade war, leads to hot war. Okay, so now we're at the hot war. It's pretty predictable. Countries who were on the receiving end of America's money printing decided that they had enough, right? So they're like, you know what? We had enough of this. Right. Well, I mean, there's a whole story with that nickel market, right? There's one trader who's got an $8 billion margin call.
Yes.
And so they're going to bail him out, essentially.
Yes.
Is what that story is all about. So it's similar. We saw this in early 1990s, I believe, with the collapse of long-term capital management.
Yes.
The federal government essentially bailed out that hedge fund by lowering markets, artificially so, interest rates to help bail them out. They went to extraordinary measures because it became systemically important. In the 2008 crisis, it was deemed that certain banks were systemically important. They had to be bailed out by printing money. Here you're saying, well, this trader who went short nickel is systemically important to the global financial markets. We need to bail him out. And of course, his response was, look, I want to short it more. I want to keep shorting it. Of course, so there's if you're going to reward a bad trade with more credit, then why not just continue making that bad trade? Eventually, according to the martingale system of betting, if you go to the roulette wheel and you just keep it on red, if you have an unlimited source of credit, eventually you will win. And that's pretty much what Wall Street's been doing now for 30 or 40 years, is every time the bet goes bad, they simply get more credit to make the same bad bet. Okay, so now we've got total failed markets, nickel market collapsed, bond market's all messed up, stock market looks insane, countries are collapsing, wars are being started. That's what happens when you don't let markets function in a pure supply and demand environment with actual price discovery. And you're right, when you introduce Bitcoin, which is perfect money and perfect supply and demand, it really holds a mirror up to all these other markets, and they freak out. It's like the Wicked Witch, and she's out there, mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? And suddenly it's somebody else. I believe in that story, it's Snow White, I believe. It's reflecting more its true market value. I mean, we've been saying for years and years, the price of gas in the United States, for example, is subsidized by America's war effort, where they go around the world and they take over countries and they take their gas and they take their oil. It's also subsidized by having the U.S. dollar as world reserve currency, and that creates an enormous, subsidy to the U.S. and that ends up going into underwriting the price of oil and gas. So now, with all these things removed, you have what's the real price of a gallon of gas? And I would posit that we're going to start to see the externalities priced into gas as well. So in the price of gas, you don't have the externalities are not priced in. So the Exxon Corporation, for example, they cause $1 trillion worth of environmental damage per year. Okay, but that's not priced in. You don't pay for that. But as those environmental damages come back into the price signaling, and that'll come in the form of rising insurance premiums. So it's not about virtue signaling. It's about insurance premiums. That's the ultimate price adjudicator. And you're going to see $10, $11, $12 a gallon for gas.
Do you want to know one thing about crypto? I made over 3,000% in profit in a few weeks. Fact is, the traditional financial system, the traditional money system makes you poor, not rich. If you want to earn $500,000, $1 million, you have to wait until you're 50, 60, 70 in the traditional financial system, and you probably will still be broke. And you will be old. This is not a sexy combination, as you can imagine. But the question is, how can you start in crypto and make these profits? Where to invest? Where to start? My name is Gunnar and I'm from Germany, as you can hear, and things are a little bit different in Germany. More about that later on. Fact is, there are lots of different cryptocurrencies. It's a gigantic universe where beginners and professionals get easily lost. But there is light at the end of the tunnel. There are 7 key steps you need to follow to become successful in this market. You have to know them, and if you fail one of them, it's literally impossible to succeed in this market. Just an example, one of the key points is your exchange, and one of the biggest are, for example, Binance and Coinbase. These are trusted and well-established exchanges, but, and this is a big but, you won't find the super profitable coins on those exchanges. The unknown super profitable coins that get gigantic profits are not traded on those kind of exchanges. They are traded on much smaller insider platforms that are barely known. And I can tell you what those super secret exchanges are and why they are so profitable. And another super important thing are the right information sources. The point is, the internet is gigantic. There are hundreds and hundreds of YouTube channels, blogs, pages, and much more. And there are also market makers and influencers. For example, Elon Musk, he is not a crypto guy, but the moment he recommended Dogecoin, it went through the roof, to the moon, so to say. But why did he recommend it? Where did he hear it from? He didn't hear it from newspapers. And believe me, he is listening to someone. But you have to know who, and you have to react before he is reacting. This is really important. And these are only 2 of the 7 steps you have to follow in order to be successful in crypto. And if you want to know all of these steps in much more detail, and if you want to have a comprehensive checklist, here's what you should do. There is a link below this video. Click on this link and you will get the opportunity to subscribe to my channel. Click on the link and you will see a video where I explain the next steps. So see you soon. Click on the link now. I'll see you there.